Good evening, this is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. Tonight we have with us Andane.
Hey, everybody.
Rax Wolf.
Hello, everybody.
Ethelros.
Hello.
And our favorite undead, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody.
And tonight we have quite a bit of news, so let's go into the LOTRO news for this week. And the first one is a little piece of news that should not surprise too many people, and that's the LOTRO license has been extended through 2017.
There's so much to talk about this. So honestly, there's not much to talk about the license thing. They've said beforehand that, hey, we really are going to get this license thing. It's going to be fine. We're friends with the Tolkien estate, all that stuff. I think that when he made this announcement, they finally had it set in stone. This really is going to be that. And there's no doubt in my mind that they have the license till 2017. What really annoys me are people that are still not confident that the license has been extended to 2017. And that's why I put this item first. Because I really do think that the community needs to be told that this is, honestly, they have the license till 2017. Just be quiet about the whole conversation. My goodness.
Yeah, that was quite annoying, and I have a feeling the reason why the Sapiens was at first reluctant to give the end date to it is because he knows that at 2017 on the stroke, or maybe a few months before that, people are going to say, well, the license is about to end. It's falling. The sky is falling.
No, it'll start before that. It'll start in 2016. Easy.
Yes, most likely. But so Turbine seemed to be reluctant to give the end date on it this time, but they sort of dragged it out of Sapiens eventually.
Yeah, and it sounds like they just executed their option to extend it, which they always had but didn't have extended officially. So they didn't have to rework the entire contract. They just had to option that extension.
Yeah. I obviously said a lot of it in my article. I pretty much said everything I wanted to say there. But one question I have seen some people ask is this the kind of thing they should put in an official release document, like on the site, and come out and say it like formally, or was it fine the way it was?
I think that at the time they should have done that, but now that all the news places have picked it up, I think it's fine.
And that was really the only thing that I found weird about the whole thing is it was just kind of an off-the-cuff comment buried in a thread instead of a press release. Which, I'm not quite sure why didn't they do a press release of it. Why was it just in that forum post, which was buried 5 pages into the thread?
Well, LOTRO has never been good with press releases.
Well, yeah, but...
Yeah, I don't know. This just goes back to that whole communication conversation we had a couple weeks ago, and they're trying.
Step by step, baby steps.
I would like to read one comment, and Fredulous Set from the chat says, lawyers wouldn't have let Sapiens use those words now if they didn't mean what any reasonable reader expects them at face value. And honestly, that's very true, because if Turbine said the other way around, and yes, we had the license extended, they would be having issues with the Tolkien estate on a major level if they went up ahead and said that. That being said, it was said on a forum, so you never know. But they've been so straightforward with it this time. Why would they choose now, of all times, to become straightforward with it if it was not true?
Yeah, you know how conspiracy theorists come up with some of the strangest things.
Blackjack in the chat room says it's the LOTRO Mayan calendar. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, yes. All right, let's go into the LOTRO community update.
Thank God.
For January 2014, where Sapiens gives our first one, and he has a few points in there. So, Brax.
Yeah, I think some of this we're going to talk about later with the 12.2 update, because he gave a couple of hints about that, which were probably the most interesting part of the update. But he also talked about, this is probably important for those of us who are interested in this Take the Hobbits to Isengard challenge that he's doing on every server. He noted that they've created a new Twitch.tv channel specifically for Lord of the Rings Online. They've always had a Turbine one, a General Turbine Twitch TV station, but the new one is going to be for LOTRO only, and is going to be used for the Take the Hobbits to Isengard challenge, and that URL is twitch.tv/LOTRO stream. So make note of that if you want to attend any of those events.
Yes, and it is in the article for the community post, and it is also in the developer tidbit one, which we'll have later. So therefore, yes, make sure to go to that channel and not to Sapiens' old channel if you want to watch the Take the Hobbits to Isengard.
Mm.
All right, and our patch notes, they are up. So
And they are lackluster.
well, yes, it's mostly bug fixes and the like.
I'm just disappointed there weren't enough player nerfs.
I totally agree.
Well, yeah, you know, I actually saw some lore masters complaining about the pet nerf that's in this one, and I'm wondering, what were they playing for the last 2 months if they don't think that lore master pets needed a nerf?
Frankly, I question what pet nerf they found because I haven't seen one.
Well, some people are complaining they nerfed them way, way, way too much. I'm thinking, what?
Rest assured, pets are still
noticed it?
broken on beta or the Bullroar server, so you won't have to worry about that.
Well, some people have noticed a considerable decrease in their damage output based on the threads I've been reading.
Some classes, it seems from reactions of some players, and I haven't gone on to test it, so I don't know, but it does seem from some reactions I've seen on the forums that some classes are having some real balancing, but the lore master's not for sure.
No, this
At
was
least
a
what's on
specific
beta
lore
right now.
master thread I was reading.
Oh, well, okay. I haven't read those threads.
Yeah, I know what thread you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the figure they came up with, 50%, isn't even remotely accurate.
Okay. Well, the patch notes did say slightly. So you're saying the slight in the patch notes is more accurate.
It's even less than slight.
Sliatissimo.
Yeah,
Less
let's go
than
with
that.
All right. And any things that you consider interesting? I know you said it was a rather boring one.
I'll have to check over it again. If I remember right, there was just mostly epic battle fixes, which is still nice to see them coming.
Yeah, epic battle fixes that we would hopefully that there are some that it plays better off when we are back.
They said the quick slot saves have been fixed.
Yeah, they
Well,
did.
Oh yes, they did make some very major changes on how quick slots work in relation to the trees and switching trees and the like. And probably the ones who aren't going to like it are people who actually maintain a large number of things on 2 different pages. I don't think too many people do that because normally oh yeah, that's right, because I once got a new travel skill and it always throws all new skills onto the first page, so normally I like to have my travel skills on the second page, so I had to move it over. But fortunately they don't generally change when you go back and forth, so that's not a major problem. Alright, then we'll go to our next item, which is our developer snippets. And right now there isn't much on here.
no, there was even less before. So.
Yes. It looks like that it's been mostly developer responses to people regarding how they're trying to make adjustments, such as Jinja talking about things like that. So there have been a couple of PvP-related posts from Jinja. LI weapons and the Entmores are aimed for release with Update 13. And creep morale pots are being lowered, and that's in the borrower notes. But most important of all is there is a schedule for the first 11 sessions of Take the Hobbits to Isengard, which are, of course, at the LOTRO Twitch page, and all times in U.S. server time are given on there for the first 11. So far, they've done Gil Rain, who took 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 6 seconds, beating Elindamir's. Oh no, I got these. Oh, sorry, did I get these? Oh, I got those backwards. I'm gonna have to fix that. All right, Gil Rain did it in 1 hour 22 minutes. Elendilmir did it in 1 hour and 10 minutes, breaking Elendilmir's and break. Elendilmir's in the lead, despite what I have on there. I'll fix that. The idea is that Gil Rain was first in Elendilmir, and Elendilmir did it in 1 hour 10 minutes. And what they did is they bypassed the gates and went around the back in order to get into Isengard.
Which I didn't even know you could do.
I'm not too sure Sapiens knew it. But they got into the steps of Orthanc, which certainly counts. All right, we also have store sales this week, of course, and this week's free sample is a sturdy steel key. And the key item is Lock 6, L-O-C-K 6.
It's a nice code.
Right. So I presume it means it's the 6th time that they've had us get a key or something?
Finally,
we
you
also
have very weird presumptions with store sales. There's no method to this. Let's just be honest.
Just be happy the letter parts make sense.
All right. I'm assuming some sort of logic in there. Very well. We have 20% off the following items: shared storage, vault upgrades, inventory bags, and currency cap. In other words, things related to gold and storage. So any comments from the sales this week? Anybody have a favorite item they want to get?
I still say storage is overpriced, even on sale.
Yeah, but those are necessary things, I would say, if you've played the game quite a while. So it's nice to get them when they're on sale.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not complaining they're on sale. They really need to do like a deeper sale than more than 20%. I think.
Yeah,
I think it would have
but-
been.
I
Sorry.
mean, storage is one of those things that I would rather have them charge more for that than extra content or something like that. As a person who was free to play and then premium and all that stuff.
I think it would have been nice to add the premium wallet to this, since it is sort of related in terms of storage. They don't seem to put that on sale often enough.
yeah.
I
You
don't
don't see that very
after it came out, you really haven't heard anything about the premium wallet, to be honest. I got it, but I haven't heard anything about it since then, really.
Well,
I
they
think it
do
went on sale
occasionally
one
put new
time.
things in there.
It is well worth the turbine points, unlike most of them. So
Yes, quite worth it. Now, all right, we go to our next area, which is the LOTRO Players News sections. And we will begin with our new feature this week, some chat room giveaways, and I think Anding has a steed he wishes to give out.
Yes, well, Pineleaf, it's not a new feature because it won't be happening every week. But we
Well,
are giving
it's
away
a new
stuff.
occasional feature.
We'll see how it goes this time.
There's that
But for
Pine
the-
Leaf logic again.
But for the next 2 weeks, we will be giving away steeds and titles. So you can join us in the chat. We go live every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also known as server time. And we're going to start off by giving away a Carmelo steed. And to do it, you have to answer this question. And the way that this will be judged, because it's not necessarily going to be random unless there's just no standout answer, in which case I'll go to random.com and do it. But the way it will be judged is it's the best answer or the funniest answer or something like that. So, what is your favorite NPC story character in LOTRO and why? And please put the word giveaway in the chat before your answer so I can actually see that you're entering the giveaway and not just randomly happening to talk about your favorite character. Anyway, um, let's go ahead and go around the table here. So, what is our favorite character and why? And let's start with Brax.
No, always start with me.
So we kept picking the name starting with B.
Oh man, my favorite NPC story character. Oh boy, and I'm so bad with names too. But I can't think of one. It was oh man, what's his name? The ranger who's in the first part of the epic who loses his daughter and goes crazy.
Golodir.
Galadir, yes. Yep. And I hope I didn't spoil that for anybody, but yeah, he loses his daughter and goes crazy. But he does come back. He does come back to you, and he accompanies you on some of the rest of the epic journey. So I just think that's kind of a cool story.
All right, Atharos.
Oh God. I would say it's pretty vague. If you remember the first quest line in East Rohan, I can't remember what the place is called now. Langhold. The wife there, I think her name is Sillin. She loses her husband and everything, and a lot of the people there die. I think I liked about her is that she was always stoic about it. Like you could tell if she was grieving, but she never actually just gave in to it. So she was always. I really respected that about her. And a lot of other NPCs did that too, but especially her because she was always trying to help her people while at the same time just holding back the sadness.
All right. Pineleaf.
Yes. See, NPC story character. So
And Drac.
yes.
I'm kind of gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say I really like Nona a lot.
Mm.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
mhm. She, because I think her character kind of changes. They kind of start her out one way, and then about halfway through her arc, she just starts to change, and I really like the storyline that they do with her. And I'll be interested to see where they actually take it.
Well, here is mine. Hey, Doom, every dude. Tom Bombadil. It's not Time. My favorite character is Tom Bombadil because he's so much fun to do the voice for.
I thought you preferred Glaiwine.
Yeah, well, I can't always do the Glaiwine voice at that roast, so just be quiet and go back in your corner of the chat room. Come on. Anyway, find these. What's yours?
What? I think Nona will have to.
You're just stealing someone else's answer.
Oh. Oh boy. I'm sorry, my memory is dead.
Was it because of the voice? I bet it was the voice. I should have done that.
Oh yes, that would really do it quite a bit. Yes, that voice of yours gets me every time.
Pineleaf, the guy who doesn't forget anything about skirmishes, can't remember one NPC story. Come on.
All right. Anyway, Eowyn.
Eowyn, okay. Why?
Eowyn because she's put into this situation where she has to do the very opposite of what she needs to do, but she makes sure that it gets done.
Mm.
Even though she would really want to go out and fight and all that stuff, join them in the big battles, she instead has to lead the people out safely into the city and back into the safe haven that they're going to. Now, of course, she does find a couple of excuses to go out and fight too. I guess, satisfy the urge a little bit while she's doing it, but she doesn't lose the fact that she is there primarily in order to lead the people to safety.
Okay.
It's a
Of
tough
course, once
question
they're safe
because
later on, she'll bypass that.
it's a really tough question you picked because there's just so many good ones. Like I know quite a few runner-ups too that was tough for me to decide.
All right. Well, it looks like Branahid is the only person to actually give an answer from the chat. So we will go ahead and go with him because he said Admir, and because it's so
Amdir,
tragic.
I'm guessing.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yay.
Amdir, yes.
Congratulations on your Steve.
All right, but he does actually have to reply to a private message I gave him. So reply to that, and I will give you the code. All right.
Very well. Now, ending. I heard a rumor that there are 8 changes that you believe epic battles need.
Well, finally, if that's probably because you read my article on LOTROplayers.com, shameless plug. And I put up an article there with 8 different changes that I think epic battles need. If these changes happened, I would be much more excited in the day when I wake up in the morning and I say, you know what I need? An epic battle. I don't say that right now, and it's because these changes are not in the game. So first of all, we need to give players importance finally. And the way that they can do that is at least have one NPC do damage to us in a battle. Just one. I'm not asking for that much. Just, give us a little bit to where we feel like we're actually being attacked. Now, what I don't
You
want...
have never been attacked?
Well, there's cases when I am, but it is very possible to go through an entire battle without having anybody attack you the entire time. And so that's why I suggested that there's needs to be certain NPCs, kind of like out of Orcs Must Die 2, because these are such big battlefields. Have them actually come and attack you and focus on just you to where they can get around the soldiers and come and attack you. They don't have to happen that often. I'm not asking to, make us seem like the most important people necessarily, because eventually that would be lore breaking if you go too far down that line. But I feel like that we need to have more importance in these battles, because I just don't feel like that, especially when some people are saying that you can literally just go through the dike and get bronze without doing anything. That's a sign that I think that something needs to happen to give us more importance.
And even worse is I feel like I still get bronze even if I do everything.
I think with this, it's like certain things you can't really do for this because, like, say, the sappers should always go after the structures and the commanders should always go after your commanders. I think where you could change it is the average enemy soldiers, like the warriors and archers, they should go for you as much as they go for the normal Rohirrim soldiers. Instead, it's like, even if they're not being hit and you attack them, they still go for the soldiers anyway.
Well,
So if they put you on a level equal with the soldiers, then that would work better.
Well, personally, I think the fact that you are effectively a commander there, because you can give orders to the commanders, so therefore you're almost a higher level commander.
You think it might be a good idea so that, say, if you're traded officer, then the commanders will occasionally go for you. Like, that'll put you up higher up in the threat level for them.
Then if you're an engineer, the sappers go after you?
And if you're a vanguard, then everyone does. Or the warriors does. That could work, I think. Would be an interesting mechanic to work with.
It'd be something to make the characters more important at the very least. That's what we need, I think.
All right. What else do you wish?
Well, there's a lot of things finally. There's 8. I mean, we're only on number 1 still. Change to positive scores. And to plead my case, I used a quote from Sid Meier, which I'm not going to read on the show because no one wants to hear strategy game people on LOTRO players. But I did go ahead and quote Sid Meier, who's the Civilization series designer, where he's the main guy behind the Civilization series and made that happen and turned it into a really popular thing. And basically what he says is that you shouldn't penalize a player too much. You need to give them plenty of rewards. And when a single NPC cannot die without giving a major impact into your score, I think that that's a big deal. And so to avoid this problem completely, I think they need to change to a positive system where it's the number of soldiers you have alive and make the battles designed in such a way somehow to where some of the NPCs actually are going to die, even if it's scripted and it happens to where some NPCs die every time. I'd be fine with that. But somebody has to die in these things. It has to happen. It's Helm's Deep. There's like 300 some odd soldiers at the end that die. That's over 1/3 of the people that are defending it die. That's a big deal. And right now, nobody dies, usually, if I
Right,
do my
because
job.
yeah,
So
because-
it might be interesting if, say, like during certain, like say the first third you lose a couple of soldiers, the next third you use another
Yeah.
couple of soldiers. So that say the final third of the fight is a lot harder.
Also, when I read the thing, sometimes it looks like when I read this that you lose more merit if you lose a soldier than if you lose a commander. And I'm saying, huh?
I don't get that either.
I mean, I would think that a commander is a bigger merit loss. All right. What's this about hard mode?
Well, a lot of people have been asking for a hard mode. I don't necessarily, with the current score system, think that they have to do it. But I think that it's because of how easy it is, especially once you get way down into the tree. And the fact that it's the same exact battle with these engineering trees that have a huge difference in how effective you can be in combat. It seems kind of silly that there's only one difficulty level when you have that kind of a dichotomy between the two. And so I think that they need to add another difficulty at least. Add a hard mode, add something, just to give players a challenge through this that have already gotten a lot of the rewards from it.
Choice
All
is always
right.
nice, so yeah.
And speaking of rewards, what kind of rewards do you think we should get?
Well, I think there should be better ones, Piney. That's number 4. And right now we're just getting jewelry, and that's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. There needs to be more. There definitely needs to be more.
I think
I don't know why.
understanding the reward system is the hard mode.
That's probably true. That probably is the hard mode for it.
I
Yeah.
thought understanding the tutorial was the hard mode.
Tutorial's not hard to understand, it just doesn't do much.
Okay, you got a point there.
Yeah, that's the next thing is, as Pineleaf wanted to segue but got interrupted. The tutorial is a big problem as well, just because unlike the skirmish tutorial, the skirmish tutorial, I think, while it might not tell you everything, it at least puts you in a skirmish to teach you how it works. Epic battles, it never puts you in an epic battle to teach you the basics and help you feel like, okay, this is just the tutorial, I can really explore around and look around. When you get into an epic battle, this is an argument I heard a lot. You know, you can explore before you right-click on Glowwine. No one ever tells you can do that. And so, you know, you just right-click on Glowwine and you don't have any idea what to expect at all. And people have said, well, you know, you should have some type of problem with that. I agree with that, but I think that you have to have some kind of idea what's going on. The soldiers at Helm's Deep had some kind of idea that they were very outnumbered, and they knew their structure pretty well, and knew where the horses were, for example, and stuff like that you have to know, and knew how to do certain things that we just don't know how to do in these battles, and unless you spend a lot of time with it and learn how to do it. And so I think a better tutorial would really help.
All right. Now, would you like to have more sizes like a skirmish has?
Well, yes, finally. Man, you are on top of this. It's almost like you have the article right in front of you. But clearly you just memorized it so well because you loved it so much. So yeah, I think that, you know, when I saw the fact that they were only going to have one raid, one 6-man, and one 3-man, my jaw dropped on the floor and I had to pick it back up for the next 10 minutes because it was just, I couldn't believe that they had this you know, what was supposed to be like their headline system and only have one of those 3 things. And I know that's not their choice probably, but delay the system, delay the expansion, get those out. I honestly think that they should have delayed it for those, believe it or not, and you know, a lot of other reasons. But they need to have more group sizes, especially now as we're moving into a year where there's not going to be any new instances or anything like that. I think that it's even more important that they have these extra sizes added in later in the year. All
right. Now, what will you do to fix the Vanguard line?
I love this. Pineleaf needs to do this more often. All right. A lot of things. At the end of the day, if they don't want to fix the system, I'd rather not see it at all, just so that it doesn't confuse players thinking that this is a really good system and viable with the other three. Because a lot of players that I've talked to, and obviously I know that this doesn't apply to everyone, these are just the people I've talked to, that run Vanguard line find epic battles much more challenging than people who run an engineer or other thing. And that's because it actually is, statistically, a lot more challenging doing that. Vanguard is a much more challenging beast, plus the whole kill streak thing you don't really understand at the beginning. A lot of players don't. And the engineer is fairly straightforward. You place a trap, it stuns people, done, and it's more effective as it's stat right now, in my opinion at least. And so I think getting rid of it or finding a way to balance it by, say, maybe giving you a stun skill so that you can blow a horn anywhere at any time and stun a group of soldiers, just like the champion horn, but for all classes now get this and champions get a second one or something like that, I think would really help out.
All right. And what will you do in order to make epic battles feel more epic?
Well, this is an interesting one because a problem that I don't know the MMO limitations of the system. I remember that Sapiens at some point was talking about how the first round of epic battles they only had like 12 NPCs and a little bit of NPCs off in the distance, and one of the guys ran in was so happy that they had that system down. And I think this is actually from the MMO Reporter launch day stream. And then a little while later, he has it be like twice as epic or something like that. But it's still, like not that. It's not Helm's Deep by any means. And so they kept building it up, and they got it to where they had 30,000 units on screen off in the distance, and a bunch of enemies coming up, and there's catapults firing and stuff like that. But honestly, there's a whole lot of dead time in these. There's a lack of. I never feel like that I'm being overwhelmed in these like you would be in, as I imagine Helm's Deep, where you'd have these orcs rushing over the walls and having it feel like a dire situation, because right now it just doesn't feel dire by any means.
Yes. And
I think
noticed-
the deeping wall can be okay with that. I think, especially
Right.
if you don't have enough level to actually knock down the ladders quick enough. I think that and the Hornberg are the only ones that can really do that effectively, though. The rest sort of have these weird pauses in between waves, and it makes it feel like a game instead of a battle.
Yeah, and a boring one at that to some extent. I mean, no one wants to just sit around and wait. Now, that being said, sometimes you are able to do engineering stuff and be, working really hard and doing stuff like that. But that's not till you get into further down the tree in engineering. That doesn't include the officer or people like that. So that kind of excludes them, I think, from that type of thing unless you're running engineer. So it's almost like those pauses are just for engineers, which they might be intended for, but I don't know. It needs to have more of a feel like a real battle, like what people expect from the books, not necessarily the movies. I'm fine if they don't go to that craziness, but the movies were great, but I just don't think that that's, they stated that, we're not going to have the movie version of Helm's Deep, and I'm fine with that, but you have to have something more than what they have right now, in my opinion, at least.
And I noticed you don't like how the NPCs seem to be completely untrained on how to use any of this equipment that they have there.
Well, that's the main thing, is that there's all these siege towers and things like that that are just sitting around and not being used by anybody. And I feel like that's really weird.
Yeah,
The
because
NPCs should be using everything they can, but instead, I mean, at least have them at the front of the wall firing arrows until they get attacked. Even if they're not even doing damage to NPCs, I'd be fine with that. And honestly, adding in extra details like that, I'd be fine if they got rid of the 30,000 orcs entirely and just made it so dark that you can't see out that far, and have just a few orcs at the bottom that are coming up, and then make the game be more immersive and have more stuff going on, because there's just not enough, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, I would think that the engineer should be probably making the NPCs fire more accurately and load faster or something like that, rather than, oh yeah, we don't know how to fire this thing unless we have an engineer leading us.
Yeah, I'd be fine with the engineers still being there, but there needs to be, the NPCs need to be doing something, even if it's just
Yeah.
firing arrows out into the crowd. I'm fine with that. Just something, please.
All right. Very well. And now we, of course, have a new episode of LOTRO Academy, episode 87, an introduction to epic battles. And how Draculetta, that was your first episode on LOTRO Academy. How did it feel?
I just can't get away from epic battles. They're everywhere. No, no, it was great. I thought we did a good job kind of giving a rough intro to them. It was fun. I'm enjoying being on there.
Very well. I guess based on my memory of that episode, it wasn't exactly you didn't exactly enjoy epic battles all that much. I got the impression.
Gee, what would ever give you that idea?
Yes. And also, Loach Reporter seems to be changing their lineup a little bit. What's that all about, Brax?
Yeah, so really, this is a result of larger shifts going on at the MMO Reporter Network. They've actually grown to the point now where Chris, who is the founder of the MMO Reporter Network and was involved in many of the podcasts that go on over there, is starting to have to pull back his involvement, his direct involvement in some of those podcasts because it's just stretching him way too thin. So one of the things that's going on with LOTRO Reporter, which is their longest running and original podcast, and one that Chris also founded, is that he's going to be stepping away from the lead host role in LOTRO Reporter. And Carrie, who has been on for a little over a year, and Lanor, who has also been on about that same amount of time, are going to continue on as kind of a tag team co-host of LOTRO Reporter. So friends of us, and they, a lot of stuff goes on kind of behind the scenes in the fan media world, I guess, and wanted to wish them the best on their changes and hope that everything goes well with the show, and we will continue to be listening.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear that Chris wasn't going to be on that show anymore, and it makes me kind of sad, to be honest. But people move on, there's new interests, things like that, and I know Chris is obnoxiously busy and he needs all the time he can get. And so it's sad to see him go since he's been there from the beginning, but it's good to, well, it's not good at all actually, but we definitely wish him the best, and it's sad to see a podcaster that's so influential in the community leave, but obviously everyone at LOTRO Players definitely wishes them the best.
All right. Anding, you seem to be starting a new series on LOTRO Video Highlights. What's this all about?
Well, this was mainly inspired after hearing that Chris was leaving the show. I feel like that the community, to some extent, is losing steam a bit. And I kind of want to not turn that around necessarily, because I don't think anyone can do that single-handedly, obviously. But I want to remind people of how awesome LOTRO was at one time. And to do that, I came up with LOTRO Video Highlights. And what this is basically doing is it's highlighting the various videos from LOTRO's long history and trying to pull out the best from the crop. And there are some amazingly well done videos through there. One of my favorites was my first one, which is "Would You Be My Minstrel?" It's a song that somebody made for a couple couple that I guess met in LOTRO, and they wanted to make an anniversary video for them, and it was a really great song, well done. It seems like a professional song, and it just has great quality, and it's a catchy song, and it's a pretty cool video, so I recommend everybody checks it out, and hopefully this series will continue to highlight some good stuff that the community's made over the years.
All right, very well. And Brax, you seem to be getting into movie reviews now.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But I did finally get a chance to sit down and watch The Rise of the Fellowship, which is on Netflix streaming in the U.S. Thank you, Fredulous, in the chat room, for making me aware of that, by the way. So I know early on, Anding had kind of an advanced screening of this and did a review but I went ahead and posted one as well, since it's been a while now since we said anything about the movie. I guess if I was to sum the movie up in one word, I would say that it's a cute movie, and that's not a slight by any means, because um, it's not a big Michael Bay stuff blowing up blockbuster of the summer, but it's not a bad movie either. I mean, if you enjoy LOTRO and Lord of the Rings type stuff, there are so many little gems planted in this movie that just kind of make you chuckle as you go through and watch it. And the other thing I liked about it a lot was how family friendly the movie is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I could. My youngest child is 6 years old, which is pretty young, but I think I could sit down with all my kids and watch this movie and not feel bad about it. There wasn't really anything in there that made me sit back and go, well, this is one that it's just gonna, it's just gonna be me and my wife watching. But I would recommend that if you haven't checked it out, manage your expectations, because it's, like I said, it's not gonna blow you away, but there's enough in it that it's a definitely entertaining 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's an indie film, but it's one of the best indie films I've ever seen, to the point where I don't even want to necessarily use that word, in my opinion at least. I don't watch that much indie films, that many indie films, but it's a really good film, and I definitely recommend it. And in a way, you're helping support Middle Earth Network, which LOTRO Players is a part of. And Ron Newcomb is actually a big part of the network, especially on the video side of things. And so it's definitely good to help support the network, but it's also a great film, and I think everyone that is a fan of LOTRO would enjoy it to some extent. So I definitely recommend, and you can just watch it on Netflix, so it's not, don't even necessarily have to pay money for it, and they still get money through Netflix, so definitely a good deal.
All right, very well. And we have a new article from Lily Kate, who's back, and she wrote about a new band on Landrival, Under the Sunlit Sky, who seem to be playing weekly down on Landrival at 3 o'clock server time.
Yeah, it's good to see that bands are returning, and it's a fairly long article that Lily Kate wrote. It's pretty cool to see that in-depth focus on a new band.
Yes. Of course, I did not have a chance to hear. They did have a concert today at 5 o'clock instead, because they were part of Winterstock, but unfortunately we were busy playing Creeps at the time.
Yeah,
So I didn't have a chance to hear how they went.
I'm sure it was great.
Yes, I'm sure it was. And we also have some auditions for the Starlight Orchestra.
What's this all about?
This seems to be a new music group that is forming on Landrival, I believe.
Oh, that's
And
cool. They're holding auditions? That's nice.
Yeah, holding auditions, yeah, according to Lily Kate's first paragraph. While many musicians have their own kinships or separate bands they belong to, imagine all the top active LOTRO music lovers and performers coming together every 1 or 2 months for a grand performance of orchestral music. This is where the Starlight Orchestra idea came about.
They're going to focus on classical music. That's interesting.
So that will be... Yeah, so this will be a different group that we have on here, and they're currently recruiting 2 bagpipists, 3 clarinetists, 4 cowbellists, 4 drummers, 2 flautists, 3 harpists, 2 horns, 4 pibgornists, 2 theorborists, and 5 for the FX team.
Pretty crazy.
So yes, that is quite a group that they are performing in here. And Lily Kate, of course, not wanting to make it look like that she snuck in for a one-timer, also posted a new episode of Small LOTRO Adventures, where we get to meet someone very, very sneaky. Yes, me precious.
That was a cross between Tom Bombadil and Spiegel.
Hey, don't do that.
Tom Bombadil doesn't have the One Ring?
No, I don't. Well, he did have it very briefly.
You trust a
Kristen?
Does he
word of
call it the
one,
Precious?
Hobbit?
And Lily Kate also had a screenshot
Yeah, she
of
did. She's sharing basically some of her screenshots that she's taken over the years, and this is a new segment that she's wanting to do. Especially since Frydra's not able to do the daily screenshots anymore, it moved to weekly. She wanted to kind of keep the screenshots going, and so she is on her own time, not on a schedule that I know of at least, just posting some of the screenshots that she finds interesting from her own
yes.
collection. So.
And of course, being Lily Kate is a creature, in this case a silt toad that she has here. And she could take Lily Kate has a talent for making a silt toad look like a wonderful shot. Which takes talent, I think. And of course, she also posted about a live stream for Winterstock, though Winterstock is halfway through its run now. So if you're listening live, you may still have some chance to see it because there will be some Winterstock left for Sunday and on Monday. Now, I was at the horse race at Winterstock and listened to the first half of the Shades concert today. But that's the only bit I've made so far. Have either of you made it to Winterstock?
I did watch the stream for quite a little bit. I watched actually part of the Shades. Don't ask how that happened. But
Yeah.
I did watch part of the Shades, possibly during Fellowship of the Creeps. But it was a good concert. And
I should have thought of doing that.
no, Pine Leaf, don't be as creepy as me. But it was good for that part. And I also watched a part on Friday as well. I don't remember what band was playing, but I had it in the background, and it was definitely great music. So I highly recommend everyone at least has the stream going and watching and listening to what's going on. It's a great time, I think.
All right. Brax, do you have any picks for the week?
Yeah, it's so this week I was directed via Twitter to a new kind of aggregation blog site, which is more about general gaming, but there's also quite a few LOTRO articles posted up there. And what happened was a friend of the show, Roger Edwards from Contains Moderate Peril, was involved in the Newbie Blogger Initiative this year. In fact, I think he headed up. And one of the things they did afterwards was, in order to make sure that this wasn't a one-time event, that they got all these new bloggers kind of up and promoted and going, they came up with this page called the Gaming Blog Nexus, where they have a bunch of contributors that were involved in the NBI, and also some of the, I think they call them sponsors, the bigger blogs, like our friends at CSTM and BioBreak and some of the bigger ones that you've heard of. And they all contribute to this Nexus. It's kind of like an aggregation of RSS feeds for all of these bloggers that have been involved in it. And it's just a really cool thing. I think if you're interested in the blogging scene at all for gaming, and you want to see what else is going on out there in LOTRO and WoW and some of these other games, check this page out. And if you're a blogger, they're still looking for people to contribute. I actually stuck my blog out there, my personal gaming blog, so the things that I write about that aren't LOTRO players related will also show up in that feed. It's kind of a neat idea.
Very well, thank you very much. Now, Anding, how did that horse giveaway go again?
Well, I did actually get in contact with Brandhild, and we did actually give away a steed, so fantastic.
Very well. Now, what about... Do you have any titles to give anyone then?
Well, yes, I do, Pineleaf, and that's because Sapiens was actually very kind to us, and he decided to give us 10 titles to give away, so definitely a big thanks to him for doing that. And so we're going to go ahead and give away 3 titles to the 3 best, funniest, or just random answers to this next question. So these are going to 3 different winners. What is your favorite LOTRO player's moment? And if you haven't seen LOTRO players at all, but you still want to answer this question, you could probably say the giveaway, and I'd probably be okay with that. Just throwing that out there. So anyway, let's do again. Go around the circle. Since this is our 30th episode, my goodness, I can't believe we actually made it this long, but this is our 30th episode of LOTRO Players News, so what better time to think of our favorite moment thus far? And let's start with Pineleaf so that Brax doesn't kill me because I pick on him all the time.
Oh, my favorite moment. Boy, that's going to be... That is tricky, trying to come up with...
I think tonight is the only time when Pineleaf has had nothing to say, and it's been twice now.
I'm trying to think. Yes, I am trying to come up with what can I say about my moment that has... Well,
Your
surviving some of the poetry has certainly been... Getting through an entire poem as a... Survived.
All right. Drac.
Mine has to be actually from tonight's episode when you and Dang busted out the old man impression for no apparent reason.
There was a reason. Get back to your spot. Anyway, Rex Wolf, what do you think?
Well, I would have to say maybe this is more inside baseball. No, I don't think so. It was recorded. It was out there. So I would say the second time that after a week of us giving Pineleaf a hard time for not remembering my name, that he called me Braxwood when giving out the Twitter addresses. The second time. 2 weeks in a row. Even after we gave him a hard time the entire week preceding that episode.
Ah, well.
All right, and the one remaining. Athelos.
I was going to go with what Brack said, almost exactly. The second time, especially, was just hilarious. 'Cause I don't know. I mean, once is like, okay, you can kind of see it, but then the second time after a week is just so funny.
That moment was pretty good, but I have to say Pineleaf reading poems because I'm such a fanboy of Pineleaf. That was a great moment on the show, I think, and I can't wait till we have many more.
All right. And who's let's see. Freitalus had said not an entry.
His is good though. I like his too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and read it? Drac, go ahead and read that one. I can't see it right now.
Hang on, let me scroll back in the chat. He says the semi-delusional banter at the end of the epic 3+ hour live stream with the Helm's Deep review.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And Blackjack says Pine Life reading 'Twas the Night Before Yulefest. That's pretty good.
And Sportive Maestro, Pineleaf completely becoming lost for an answer in the story character question.
And Alex saying, when you make me remember that the Yulefest was coming. So there you go.
Very well.
So now I have to choose. That's gonna be
You have
tough.
to choose
There's
three
actually,
of them, right?
there's actually, yeah.
And there are 3 entries.
I think there were 4, but there might only be 3. I'll have to look again.
Okay. Very well then. While you do that, let's talk about donations. This week we have no donations.
Aw.
But if you would like to support us, you can go to the donations page where you can help support the podcast on LOTRO Players and also help support the site. We have $5 and $10 mentions where you can donate and get a mention. For a $5 donation, you will receive a mention on the podcast of your choice. For a $10 mention, you get to get a mention on all of our current active podcasts. Have you decided on a winner yet?
Still working.
Okay, so let's get some feedback. Reviews. All right. Drac, could you give us the first review?
Wait,
Sure.
Pineleaf, so what you're saying is that after my terrible reading last week, you're actually letting people continue to read this stuff?
It's an experiment.
Okay.
Brewster on Brandywine gave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and he said episode 28 was an epic 3-hour and 17-minute great show, tons of info, and insight to the game. If you love LOTRO, you will love LOTRO Player News. Don't miss Anding, Draculetta, Etheros, Mystery, and the big man, master of disaster himself, Pine Leaf Needles.
Emphasis on the disaster.
Wait a minute. What? I was on that episode.
Oh, that's right.
Hello, Brewster.
Very well. Let us go to the featured comments, and looks like Brax left a comment.
Do I have to read my own comment? That's crazy.
Yeah, you
Yes,
did.
you left a comment on Lotro Academy, apparently.
That
Yeah,
way
I'm
we
a
don't
little-
have to do a voice for you, Brax. It just sounds like you.
Drax's first episode is about epic battles. Oh, the irony.
Yes. And
Indeed.
irony indeed, yes. And Lily Kate Buggins left a comment on episode 29 of Lotro's Players News. And Etheros.
All right, give me a massive long thing to read to me. It was great to be able to be up late enough to join you in the live chat room. So much content to catch up with. It was really nice hearing those familiar voices again.
Ah, yes. Lily Kate, yes, being able to stay up late enough is a luxury for her sometimes, since she lives in Italy.
It's good to have her back, too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And an unexpected vidcast also left a comment on episode 29. Great show as ever, guys, and the Helm's Deep email gave me a few ideas on how to crack some of those big battles. Now, how are we coming along for winners, Andy?
Well, right now, Blackjack, Forte, and Alex, pretty soon Alex will have one, asking them if they want to get their code. If they don't, then it'll go on to somebody else.
Very well. And that's for our sociable titles. Let's see how sociable our people are tonight. So, would you like to ask another question?
Actually, wow, we already made it through all that. Let's actually hold off on that, and we'll see if we have time at the end, and if not, we'll save that for next week.
Very well. We have some emails then. And, you know, I think that Ending deserves a second chance.
Bravo.
Uh-oh.
So you could read the first email.
Okay.
Greetings!
Okay, I already started it, so I gotta continue.
A few episodes ago, I think you discussed that introducing new races and classes weren't really viable in the game. I was thinking about this, and it made me wonder what all of you thought if Lotro were to expand the options for the existing classes and races. For example, a dwarf warden might be fun, or even an elf captain. An old character of mine still has the name Elf Captain's Notes. An old item, rather.
No, it says character. Anyway,
Item in my vault.
since the lore about what classes go with what races is a bit subjective on Turbine's part,
Do you think they might do it someday? If so, do you think it would be a good idea? Thanks for the show.
Now, I noticed that there was a comment said in one of the recent live streams by Sapiens that gave me the impression that they're not making any current plans on changing the current situation with the race combinations. But anyone else have any thoughts on this?
I mean, like, I suppose I know some people get excited about, like, maybe rolling an elf captain or something like that, but me personally, I'm not really bothered. I'm happy with it the way it is. If it changes, it changes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I think there's some that they could stretch a little bit more. I think a dwarf warden would be okay, but I'm not a lore expert either. But I think I don't know, maybe a hobbit captain would bother me a little bit. That just doesn't seem I guess there was some argument about that though at one time, wasn't there? Because Merry and Pippin could have been considered elf or Hobbit captains after they came back from the wars.
Yeah, what we could do is they would have to they could only have Hobbit heralds with them.
Yeah, the way I saw it with the captain is that, like, Merry and Pippin were Hobbit captains, but they were only captains of hobbits. Same with elves and same with dwarves. I think men are really the only race that led other races. At least that's generally how it works in the lore, as far as I know.
I think that's what they were trying to convey. So personally, I think that there's no great need in order to change how it currently is.
But not dwarf wardens, really, Pinely? That gives you an
Well-
excuse for many more wardens.
Well, the problem with dwarf wardens is that I think of wardens as avoidance tanks. I know sometimes their avoidances don't look as great as they should be, but that's an entirely different matter. But if they're avoidance types, it just doesn't sound like a dwarf. Dwarves are very unsubtle, I get the impression.
Yeah, from what I gathered, wardens were meant to be like agile and stuff like that, and well, dwarves aren't exactly. They
Yeah.
stand there and they bear the brunt of the attack, which is obviously why they can be guardians.
Right,
Think
yeah,
that-
they make great guardians.
Think of how cool they would look with that massive shield.
Very well. Now, our second email comes from Kaylee. Greetings, everyone. I had a question that might be a possible point of discussion for you all on the show. While opinions regarding how enjoyable epic battles are range widely, opinion seems to be virtually unanimous that they are much more fun in a group than alone. So first, what is it specifically about epic battles that makes them more enjoyable in a group? There are many possible reasons, of course. So we will start with Brax.
Well, I think that the reason for me that it's more enjoyable in a group is that we can split up the tasks a little bit. One of us can stay on the main battle while the other one goes. I'm talking about a duo specifically, is what I've done. While the other one of us goes and does some of the side quests, or not quests, but the side objectives. Or if something on the side objective becomes a little hard, I could call my duo friend over and we can work together on the objective, as opposed to in a solo. It feels like there's just so many things going on at one time that it's too difficult to really get everything done until you get some points put into your line anyway.
Oh, I thought that was part of the challenge.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always enjoyed doing content that was built for groups in groups. I don't prefer to do solo instances or solo skirmishes. I like to do it with other people. I think it was built for that, and it just seems like a lot more fun when of your friends around you with throwing all kinds of spells and swords and arrows and stuff. It just feels more like a battle.
All right, it makes sense. Okay. Etheros.
I think a lot of it is what Brack said about having there's just so many different tasks to do in Ed battles. Like, for example, on the wall, you could be knocking down ladders, using the catapult, obviously fighting the mobs, and all sorts of things. Having another person there or more people there, it can not only does it obviously help go through the battle with more progress, but I think it has the excitement of having different layers of stuff going on. Just seeing other people doing different work, it makes it feel like a group team effort, because the NPC is just kind of there fighting and they don't do that sort of stuff, as Andang was talking about earlier. I mean, on top of that, obviously it's just the general thing of most things in LOTRO and MMOs in general being more fun with other people.
All right. Andang?
Yeah, most things in a group are more fun, obviously. In most games, it's very rare for it to not be the case. And then also, when I did a raid version, even when on the one where I didn't win at the end and we lost, it's just a lot of fun to coordinate a group across the entire wall of Helm's Deep, and it really feels more like you're defending the wall. Again, there's still, not as much as I would like going on, but there's way more than in just the duo, obviously. And so it's much more immersive and really gets you focused, and it feels more dire because the enemies are coming somewhere on the wall almost the entire time. But again, they're not coming consistently at certain parts. So anyway.
All right. And Draculetta.
Now, if you read the last part of her email, I don't have to answer.
Oh, you are right. You don't have to answer. You are correct in that, but you still have the option if you wish.
No, I think it's pretty much what Anding said. I think it would make it feel more dire, and I do believe you could do more than what you feel like you do doing it solo, if that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the other things, of course, is even if things get a little bit slow, at least you have someone to talk to while it's going on.
There you go. And I know too, a lot of the like when the dudes are planting like the bombs and stuff, you can disarm those a lot quicker with two people than you can one.
Oh yeah, those bombs are just so
Yeah.
annoying. You especially when you see the bomb when it's too late for a single person to disarm it. All right, so let's go into part 2. Would it be possible to apply the multiplayer aspects that make epic battles more enjoyable to other types of group play? Instances, raids, skirmishes, landscape content like the Limelight Gorge, and so on. How might they be applied, and would they be welcome in those other types of content? Well, I don't know. It sounds like to me that the things that make epic battles more enjoyable is the things that make group contents more enjoyable in general, or am I off base?
Yeah,
Brats.
I would agree. I would agree with that. What you just said. I was kind of thinking the same thing as I was reading through this question and trying to understand what she's getting at. I guess the other thing that I forgot to mention earlier was that as you're doing some of this content for the first time, some of the challenge is not always trying to get the highest score. Some of the challenge is just trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing, because of the way that the mechanics are different for each. I would say in the classic instances, sometimes there's even puzzle elements to getting the instance accomplished, and I'm not sure it's so. You see that so much in the epic battles. It would be nice if you did, but I think that's another reason that group content is more enjoyable, and maybe that's something that they could work on for epic battles in the future, is do some more puzzle type mechanics, like I have to stand here and use this type of damage, and somebody else has to stand over here and watch out for the reflective damage and stuff like that. That was the kind of stuff that's enjoyable.
Yeah, but puzzle type things I think work better in offensive cases than they do in defensive cases.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, Etheros.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what this question is meant to mean in terms of multiplayer aspects, because I mean, far as I can tell, the multiplayer aspect is pretty much the same here as it is in other group content.
Yeah. All right, do you have a different opinion, Anding?
What are we talking about?
Whether or not the things that make multiplayer big epic battles more enjoyable than solo ones, how can they be applied to other types of group content?
That's a tough question. I honestly don't know. I think that as long as you have a core thing that's fun, then obviously the group stuff, assuming that it builds on it, should be more fun. And I think most things do that very well, but I think until you get the core thing to be fun on epic battles, or at least more fun as a solo person, it could also detract from multiplayer. And that's not always the case. Sometimes things are a lot more fun in multiplayer. It just depends, I think, on the system and stuff and how they apply it to it.
Very well. Oh, and seeing how poor Draculetta has been inundated with epic talk between the Helm's Deep Review and LOTRO Academy, he may be excused from answering if he so wishes. Now, you notice, though, that I was also in both of those episodes. I wasn't excused.
Yeah, but
I'm
finally, you gave
special.
the appeal that you actually like it.
Yeah, I'm the one that doesn't like him. Remember?
Well, if you remember correctly, I didn't exactly give them a great score either. But all right, so Dracula, do you wish to opt out then?
I will opt out.
Very well. Then looking forward to the next show. Now, do you have anything you wish to add concerning the giveaways, Anding?
We are going to save more codes for next week, and then also there will be title codes, that is, and also that we will be giving away 2 different steeds next week. So be sure to join us in the chat at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Server Time. And also, you have to join us in the chat for that, and it's every Saturday. So next Saturday, join us, win stuff. It's great.
Yes, and you can email us at lotraplayers.mymiddleearth@gmail.com, and you could follow us on Twitter, lotraplayers at lotraplayers, anding at pvmp_anding, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Etheros at Etheros, Mystery at Mystery XOXN, that's mystery with an I, and Pineleaf at Master of Disasters, though I heard rumors that may not necessarily be my actual Twitter account.
Not yet, it's not.
Very, very well. And now, anyone have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I had one, Pine Leaf. I forgot to, when I did my pick of the week, I forgot to give out the URL for the Gaming Blog Nexus. That is gamingblognexus.com. Just wanted to make sure I did throw that out there.
Very well. And just remember that next week, make sure you come and listen to our live show so you can have your chance to get some of those remaining steeds, which we'll be giving out next time, and those remaining codes for the sociable title. I'm sure you want to be known as being sociable.
And we got lots of the sociable titles to go, so be sure to join us so we can give them away.
Very well. LOTRO Players News goes live every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. server time, that is U.S. Eastern Time. You can join us by going to lotroplayers.com/live, and be sure to join us in the chat. And that is all for tonight, and thanks for listening to us. Good night.